Lourdes Ortiz is a human resource specialist, corporate trainer, and bilingual speaker. She obtained her master's degree at Cal Poly Pomona with an emphasis in human resources. She's worked for 20 years as the human resources and safety director for a successful plating company, where she actively participates in legal hearings, employment negotiations, workmen's compensation issues, as well as recruitment and training. Please welcome Lourdes Ortiz.
Thank you, Jan. By a show of hands, who knows someone that is unhappy with a job? Keep your hands up. Who knows someone that is afraid of interviews? Look around. Thank you for being with us. You are at the right place. Many of you, at one point or another, will be facing a human resources manager. For those of you that don't know, human resources comes from the Latin term. You don't get the job unless I like you. Growing up, my father had only one job for 65 years. I never heard him complaining. I never heard that he didn't want to work or that he wanted to take a day off. He is now 85 years old and he still works 7 days a week. He's a farmer. Today, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average person changes jobs about 11 times during their career. This means that a significant amount of time is spent looking for a job. And after COVID, the mobility increased tremendously. And if you graduate from college, it's not that you graduate and find a job and you are set for life. No, you have to go through several job interviews before you have the job that you really want. So many of you, at one point or another, will be facing interviews to either get a job, a promotion, or a business opportunity. And you have to have someone say yes. And that person is me. My name is Lourdes Ortiz, and I came from Mexico about more than 20 years ago. And believe it or not, I used to have an accent. But today, as of now, I have worked in human resources for about 27 years. And you are right, I started when I was 10. That's when I gave Barbie doll, a disciplinary warning for inappropriate dress code. But you have to have someone to say yes. And believe me, applicants give me many reasons to say no. After all, how many of you have gone through a job interview and another, and you were perfectly qualified and you didn't even get the job? Raise your hand. Thank you. And in many cases, you don't even know why. But today, you will walk away with practical tips that will help you remain calm and succeed during the job interview. Let's assume for an example, if I give you a stack of 100 resumes, and I tell you, go through these resumes, it's 95. Go through these resumes and select 5 of them for a job interview. What criteria will you use? Each one of you will have a different answer, just like an employer. But for this exercise, we are going to use this criteria: level of employment, stability, job knowledge, growth potential, and attention to detail. So when we are talking about level of employment, The choices are entry level, senior level, or executive level. When we are talking about stability, we will be looking at all the jobs that the person had through their career. We will be looking at the time that they spent in each job. And I will need to know why they moved from one job to another. So for example, if the department tells you that the company needs somebody entry level, they will select those that are entry level and put on the side those resumes that are not entry level. If they are looking for somebody that is stable, they will select the ones that are remain in the job for a long time. And the ones that quit quickly, they put them on the side. And this continues on and on for each of the criteria. So what happens with all those 95 resumes? They remain on the side and eventually will be shredded. So why is it that those 95 resumes had to be shredded? Most likely because of the lack of attention to detail. You have no idea how many resumes I receive. And most of them don't meet the criteria. Why? Because the applicant doesn't take the time to review the job description, to review what is expected, to follow the instructions that they are telling them to apply, and to answer the questions that should be answered. And in many cases, we have resumes that are pages and pages, but all I need to know is the last 15 years, the last years that are relevant to what I'm looking for. So why list everything when that can hurt you? So applicants give me many reasons to say no. So what about if you are one of those 5 resumes? What if your resume was selected? Are you ready to understand how we see you and what you need to nail the job? Yes. You must stand out from the crowd. You must be memorable. A memorable interview is just like a memorable speech. Great opening, substantial content, and a powerful closing. And it's just like table topics. You practice table topics and you get better. You practice interviewing and you get better. Mary, one of our members of our club, was looking for a job. During our table topic sessions, we asked her questions related to the job. As a result, she landed a job with the government with great benefits and opportunity for growth. If Mary can do it, you can do it too. For the purpose of this presentation, we are going to divide the interview in 3 sections: opening, content, and closing. So let's jump into the opening. You all know that the opening is the most important part to break the ice. And you have only 17 seconds to create an image. Good or not so good? What is important during the opening? We all know dress code. Dress for the job. If you are going to work at a sporting event at a gym, then you dress with gym clothes. If you are going to work in the office, be conservative and wear a dress code. I had an applicant, actually I had 2 applicants, equally qualified for a position as receptionist. One of them had beautiful long nails. And the other one didn't have just the regular nails, not even polished. This lady was wearing leggings. This one was wearing a regular pants. Which one did I pick, this one or this one? What do you think? I had to pick the one that had
long nails.
Long leggings.
Long nails, polished.
Oh, long nails. Why will I pick that one with the long nails?
Presentable.
Well, but for the job, I don't need.
That is not required.
Long nails is not required. I want something simple. I want somebody that is going to show up on time, that is going to have less issues to deal with, that is going to get the job done. Now, if I'm looking at hiring a model, then I definitely need somebody with long, beautiful nails. So dress for the job. Thank you for answering. Mirror the interviewer. When it comes to gestures, when it comes to shaking hands, when it comes to the voice, mirror the interviewer. We do have interviewers that are low-key, that are shy. Their culture requires them to be that way. We have interviewers that are more outgoing. Gestures, smiles, louder voice. Mirror the interview, mirror the interviewer halfway, and let the interviewer direct the conversation. Be engaging. Be enthusiastic about the conversation. And something important, observe. The moment you walk into the company, observe parking lot, reception area, customer service, personalities, employees, the culture. Observe something positive. Why do I say that? Because when we get closer to the end of the interview, you are going to use those observations to demonstrate that you pay attention to detail. Now, let me give you an example. My son, 21 years old at that time, was applying for one of his first jobs. He was nicely dressed, ready to go for the job interview. And he looks at me and says, I'm not going. They are not going to hire me. They want somebody with experience. There are so many people waiting. I look at him. Isaac, that's his name. Isaac, you cannot miss the job interview. You must show up. Focus on what you have and let the rest go. What do you mean? What do I focus on what? On what? Your unique qualities. I don't have any. Of course you do. You are punctual. You are responsible. You had perfect attendance through elementary and high school. You network with friends that are all ages, different cultures, races, and personalities. You have what it takes to be a great team player. Focus on that and let the rest go. I didn't think about that. You're just saying that because you are my mom. No, you have it. You have those unique qualities. You must own them. He went for the job interview. He didn't get the job, but he learned to stand up and speak up. My question to you is, who are you? This brings us to tip number 1. To be you, you must be you. You must know what your qualities are, what makes you unique. If you don't know, ask somebody else. Look at your strengths. Those are extremely important at this point. And speak in your own terms. Don't try to imitate. Don't try to be somebody else that you are not. We can see that right away. Just be you. Just act like if you were talking with somebody else, with a good friend. That's what we want to see. We want to see that you are clear and that you are who you are and know what you want. If you know where you want to be, then you know what direction to take. Do you want to just get your foot on the door? Or do you want to apply for a higher level position? Do you want to be flexible? Or do you want to set what you want, your expectations? Know what you want. Are you looking for a part-time or full-time, day or nighttime? If you know what makes you unique, if you talk in your own terms, your own words, and if you know where you are going and what you want, that will give you peace of mind because you will be in control of yourself. You are unique. It doesn't matter how many people are out there waiting. You are unique, and that's what we want. We want to see your uniqueness. Once you are in control of yourself, you will be able to respond to the most important questions of the job interview, where the content is. During the content, it's extremely important to be sincere, clear, and concise. So this brings us to tip number 2. But before I do that, let me give you an example. When I first came to this country, I applied for a job, and I was lucky to be scheduled for an interview at Wells Fargo Bank. I came with my nice suit, ready to apply or to be interviewed for a human resources position. And the interviewer looked at me and said, Lourdes, it doesn't matter how many degrees you have. If you don't speak the language, you are not going to be hired. That hurt. But on the other hand, that was the best lesson on reality that I could have received at that time. As a result of that, I immediately started taking English classes, and I started taking action to work towards my goal. So this brings us to tip number 2, be real. How can you be real? Look at the job requirements. What are they expecting from you? If you look at the job requirements, which ones do you have and which ones you don't? What areas can you work on? Research the employer. You want to know that it's a good fit for you too. How long has the company been in business? What are their goals? What are their pains? What are they struggling with? Become interested. Look at the website. Ask questions. Contact the receptionist. The receptionist can tell you so much. And create a plan of action. You want to know what makes you unique. You want to know the job requirements so that you can create a plan of action. A plan of action means for every weakness that you have, you are going to figure out what to do to compensate and turn that into a strength. For every skill that you don't have, you are going to figure out a plan of action to be able to fulfill the requirement. For example, if you are lacking knowledge in certain software, then you create a plan of action by taking a course. Taking a course within a period of time. In that way, you have examples that you can illustrate to justify your weakness or your lack of the skill. So review the job requirements, research the employer, and create a plan of action will give you the strength, the confidence to get to the next step, which is going to be the third part of the interview. Patricia Fripp says, last words linger. Last words linger. So we need to be prepared to do the best that we can so that we can succeed at the job interview. But at that point, we need to be thinking, not if I'm going to be hired. I need to have my mind into what can I do for you? Let me give you an example. Growing up, I asked my father. At that point, I was interested in finding a job. And I looked at him and I said, Papa, if I wanted to find a job and they ask me, how much do you want to get paid? What should I say? He looks at me, Mija, show them what you can do. Pay them so that they can hire you. What? Pay them so they can hire you. Huh. I didn't like that. Time went by, years went by. And guess what? I was asked to do a translation, a 10-page translation of a document. I was honored. Of course, I didn't charge them. I was so pleased to be able to help. In return, I got a job offer. 27 years of employment for this company. That's how they pay me for the translation. You never know. And now I'm convinced what my dad says. My father said, show them what you can do before you ask them for what you want. Show them what you can do before you ask them for what you want. I learned that lesson. My question to you is, how can you be part of the solution? Now that you know where you are, you know where you want to be, you want to take the next step toward the job that you have been wanting to, for the business opportunity that you have been wanting to, how can you be part of the solution? This brings us to tip number 3. Be part of the solution. Think as an employer. That's the first step to be able to think of a solution. Put yourself in the employer's shoes. Employers are struggling to find people that want to work, that are on time, that are there to contribute, that are there to be team players. What can you do if you were an employer? If you were the director of a school, if you were in charge of a business, what can you do? How can you make a difference? This is where we can bring everything that we started with, from the opening to the content of the speech until now, or the interview. This is the time where you're going to apply everything. How can you make a difference? What skills do you have that you can apply? And remember what I said, create stories, have stories in your pocket, ready to use, so that you can use facts to illustrate who you are. And use your stories in a way that represents them with an incident action benefit. That's how you make them credible. Instead of going around in circles and talking about things that sometimes don't take you where you want to be, focus on incident action benefit. That's how you illustrate your stories. When you can talk about how you can make a difference, then you can use an example. On such and such day, I signed up for this course. I took the course on this software, and it's going to allow me to not only practice my skills, but help you solve your problem. Remember, I talk about strengths and weaknesses? This is the time when you are going to use your strengths to demonstrate what you did in the past and how you can do it again. For example, if I said, you know, Lori, we need employees that are here on time and that are going to be reliable. This is your chance to give an example of the time when you were reliable. Tell me what happened, where, and what did you do? What challenges did you overcome to get there on time? Make sense? I hope it does. So then when we get into the win-win situation, we can say, if I can apply these skills in your company, it will give me the satisfaction that I am implementing what I know, but also will be contributing to make a difference in your business. That's how you can become credible. think as an employer, how can you make a difference and make a win-win situation? Just before the interview, we are going to close by reminding the interviewer that you can make a difference and also show your appreciation. Let them know how much you value what they have done and follow up with a thank you letter. I'm gonna share with you a handout on your chat where you are going to have access to a letter that talks about how you can be so simple from saying, thank you for giving me the opportunity, in comparison to a letter when we use the pronoun you or your as often as possible. Here we are seeing a document. The first letter says, Dear Mr. White, look at how many yous you see there. They are highlighted. We see only 4 in the first letter. Let's take a look at the second letter. How many yous do you see there? How many years? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 compared to the previous one that we saw 4. As you can see, the more you include the word you or your, the most effective your letter will be. We talk about the date, the position that you apply, the reasons why you are thankful, and reminding them that you can provide information to make a decision faster. And with that, we are now getting to the last portion of the session where we are going to practice table topics. Are we ready for table topics? I know you're all anxious, so I'm gonna give you the opportunity to maybe a couple of you that I can ask a question. So who wants to be the first one?